Meltdown Monday. Tonight, stock prices plunge all over the world. The Dow closes below 10,000 for the first time in 4 years. I'm Katie Couric, also tonight getting to the bottom of the financial crisis.
If you haven't discovered your role, you're the villain today.
The disgraced head of Lehman Brothers in the hot seat on Capitol Hill. As the polls tighten, the presidential candidates go negative, stepping up their personal attacks. And a soldier's best friend, how a dog named Yankee is helping a veteran cope with the lingering demons of war.
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Good evening, everyone. Another week is starting out very badly on the financial markets, not just here, but all over the world. We begin, though, on Wall Street because for a time today, it looked like the Dow was headed for its worst point loss ever. It was down 800. But by the end of the day, the Dow had recovered about half of that, and investors breathed a sigh of relief. Since President Bush signed the bailout into law last Friday, the Dow has lost more than 500 points. Anthony Mason is on Wall Street tonight. And Anthony, it's amazing what passes for good news down there these days, isn't it?
It sure is, Katie. It was a frantic day down here. And while the markets did manage to rally back, the Dow still closed below 10,000 for the first time in 4 years.
What started as a global sell-off quickly spread to Wall Street.
People are just spooked, they're scared, they're afraid, and it's not even Halloween yet.
A year ago this month, the Dow hit its all-time high at more than 14,000. It's now fallen nearly 30% since then. President Bush promised the $700 billion rescue plan is a big step towards solving the financial crisis.
And it's going to take a while.
The president said that again.
But it's going to take a while.
And again.
It's going to take a while to restore confidence in the financial system.
55% of Americans in a new CBS News poll now say the economy is in very bad shape, the highest number ever recorded in the poll. And 3 out of 4 see the economy getting worse. Major department stores like JCPenney, The Gap, Dillard's, and Nordstrom's all saw their September sales slip more than 5%, according to early estimates.
There's not the consumer confidence one would hope for this year.
Philadelphia jeweler Matthew Solby says his store traffic is slowing, and he's not expecting a happy holiday season.
I would say Christmas looks to be off about 50% this year from last.
One silver lining, worries about a global recession have sent oil prices plummeting. Crude dropped below $88 a barrel. Gas prices, now averaging $3.50 a gallon, should quickly follow.
And in the next 10 to 14 days, I'm expecting prices to decline by another 20 cents a gallon. And by the end of the year, we should have a national average of $3 a gallon or less.
But that won't be enough to put the brakes on a recession. And there's a growing expectation down here, Katie, that the Fed will have to step in with an emergency rate cut sometime very soon.
And Anthony, why didn't the bailout have the calming effect people at least hoped it would?
Because now, Katie, we're finding that this crisis seems to be spreading overseas, and it seems that the U.S. and the foreign governments can't seem to get ahead of it. Art Cashin down here of UBS likened it to a game of whack-a-mole where you whack one problem down and another one pops up. This time it's the foreign banks.
All right, and even with the bailout, Anthony, I know the Fed has pumped a lot of money into the system to encourage banks to lend to one another. Why doesn't that seem to be working?
Yeah, it's billions and billions of dollars, Katie. It's because the banks are still waiting to see what their own losses are and waiting to gain trust in other banks before they start moving this money around again. It's a massive crisis of confidence, and no one is really sure how to solve it.
All right, Anthony Mason. Thank you, Anthony. Even before Wall Street opened this morning, you had to know we were heading for trouble. Stock prices were already plummeting in Europe and Asia. From London tonight, here's Richard Roth.
They were calling it Meltdown Monday on European markets, the steepest fall in 20 years or more.
Now, Robert, just tell us what you've seen today. It's serious. How serious?
Louise, it's a mess.
British stocks hit a 4-year low. The fall in France was the worst ever. Shares in Germany dropped more than 7%, and in Russia, almost 20%.
It's looking like absolute carnage out there. One can safely say now that this crisis is going to get worse in Europe before it gets better.
Governments across Europe now are bailing out their banks and promising to protect savers. But it's happening piecemeal, despite European leaders' weekend pledge to work together.
After Hank Paulson asked for a clear act of coordination by banks around the world, you would have hoped that the European Union could have actually had a coordinated approach. As it has actually panned out over the weekend, they look like cats in a sack, all scratching one another.
Instead of inspiring confidence, they're squabbling, leaving markets in chaos. And driven by fear, said one analyst here, who added, "We'll get through it, but there will be more casualties along the way." Richard Roth, CBS News, London.
Meanwhile, in Washington, the head of Lehman Brothers was under fire today on Capitol Hill. A House committee demanded to know why the company was giving executives huge bonuses even as the company was failing. Here's Bob Orr.
Still seething over having to pass a $700 billion bailout, Congress today found a target for its frustration.
I feel horrible about what has happened to the company.
Richard Fuld, chief executive of Lehman Brothers, was asked how he could personally pocket more than $300 million in the 8 years leading up to Lehman's bankruptcy.
Is that fair for the CEO of a company that's now bankrupt to have made that kind of money? It's just unimaginable to so many people.
And how, asked lawmakers, could Lehman spend $10 billion in bonuses and stock buybacks when its business was spiraling downward?
At the end of 2007, I did not believe at the time that we had a liquidity problem.
Fuld was confronted with his internal Lehman memo. Some employees, citing worsening market conditions, wrote, "Top management should forego bonuses this year." Lehman executive George H. Walker, President Bush's cousin, responded with ridicule, reassuring top colleagues they'd be paid. "Sorry, Team," Walker wrote, "I'm not sure what's in the water." Fuld echoed that, writing, "Don't worry."
You remember that email?
I do not.
Lawmakers also asked why executives continue to say Lehman was healthy when they knew otherwise.
Your internal documents said that conditions are clearly not sustainable.
This document does not look familiar to me.
Fuld asked for no pity, but showed his own anger when asked about Lehman's bankruptcy. Why, lawmakers wanted to know, did the Bush administration allow Lehman to fail when Bear Stearns, AIG, and others all got government lifelines?
Until the day they put me in the ground, I will wonder.
The Capitol Hill finger pointing continues again tomorrow as two executives from AIG face the very same committee. Katie?
Bob Orr in Washington. Bob, thank you. And one more note on the bailout. Treasury Secretary Henry Paulson today named 35-year-old Neil Kashkari to oversee the new program known as the Office of Financial Stability. Now, like Paulson, Kashkari is a former Goldman Sachs executive. Turning now to the presidential campaign, in our first CBS News poll since the vice presidential debate on Thursday, Barack Obama leads John McCain by 4 points. Just last week, Senator Obama had a 9-point lead. As Election Day gets closer and the polls get tighter, Dean Reynolds reports the campaign is getting nastier.
With the finish line in sight, the two presidential campaigns have abruptly downshifted from policy to personality, with the trailing Republican ticket making the first move. In New Mexico, John McCain suggested Barack Obama is a mystery man.
And where other candidates have to explain themselves in their records, Senator Obama seems to think he's above all that. Whatever the question, whatever the issue, there's always a backstory with Senator Obama.
In Florida today, McCain's running mate went a step further.
I am just so fearful that this is not a man who sees America the way that you and I see America.
After weeks of dealing from a position of weakness on the economy, Republican officials said they hope to turn Obama himself into a big issue.
Increasing the risk on their lives. How dangerous.
A new ad out today packs the words dangerous, dishonorable, liberal, and risky into just 30 seconds. But it's Palin who is clearly the weapon of choice against Obama.
Our opponent is someone who sees America as imperfect enough to pal around with terrorists who targeted their own country.
She's actually referring to one person, William Ayers, a former radical and founder of the Weather Underground, which carried out anti-government bombings in the late 1960s when Obama was 8 years old. Ayers is currently a university professor and a neighbor of Obama's in Chicago, where the two once served together on the board of a city charity. More than a decade ago, Ayers hosted a political get-together for Obama. Friends say the two are acquaintances, not pals. Obama says the Republicans are playing guilt by association.
That's what you do when you're out of touch, out of ideas, and running out of time.
But Obama can play the same game, now airing a 13-minute webcast highlighting a 20-year-old case.
He knew that what was being done was improper.
McCain's admitted dealings with convicted savings and loan swindler Charles Keating, something McCain calls the worst mistake of his life, but now, in the hands of the Democrats, a way to cast doubts about his judgment. With polls showing most Americans thought Obama won the first presidential debate, this change in tone, especially by the Republicans, may foreshadow the strategy John McCain will employ tomorrow night to try to win the second. Dean Reynolds, CBS News, Albuquerque.
Jeff Greenfield is our senior political correspondent. And Jeff, very simply, why are they doing this?
The McCain campaign has been remarkably candid in saying flatly, even on the record, we have got to change the topic from the economy to raise doubts about Obama or we lose. I mean,
but why?
Because they believe, apparently, that if the economy is a central issue, where the polls have been going, ours is one of the smaller leads for Obama, Obama will win, and the state polls are worse. They are saying, Karl Rove, who's not part of the Obama campaign, but kind of a godfather of Republicans, said, quote, they have to deepen doubts about Obama by pounding away about character, judgment, and values. That's their strategy.
And will it work?
In the past, it has worked to push Democrats mostly out of the mainstream. They've been very effective. They did it with Gore, they did it with Kerry, they did it with Dukakis. In this climate, the news we and everybody else is reporting today, it's a really question to see whether the voters are going to say, I don't really care much about the prospect of a Great Depression coming. I think I'll focus more on this issue, but I think it's the only card they've got.
So do you think it's going to turn a lot of voters from both camps off and they're not going to show up on Election Day?
That may, and I say may, be part of the strategy, that negative campaigns tend to depress turnout. And when you look at who the new voters are, overwhelmingly Obama, I think the McCain campaign would be perfectly happy to see turnout lower than it would otherwise be. And this may be one way to do it.
But might this motivate voters?
It might. You know, this is why my crystal ball is cracked. I just know that there's a theory that says make the campaign ugly and people will turn out to vote.
All right. Jeff Greenfield. Jeff, thanks very much.
Okay.
By the way, CBS News will, of course, bring you live coverage of the second presidential debate tomorrow night at 9 Eastern Time. And still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, why experts are urging parents to get flu shots for their children. And up next, why thousands of registered voters may be turned away in a key swing state. The election is just 29 days away now, and this was a busy day at election offices all around the country in 16 states and the District of Columbia. It's the last day to register in Florida. New voters may find signing up, though, is the easy part. As Kelly Cobiella reports, getting to actually vote could be much tougher.
Is everybody registered to vote? For volunteers looking for new voters, it's crunch time.
You registered to vote? Do you have your driver's license on you?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. This is just getting outrageous how many people are just really into this election.
So many.
I'm a local volunteer calling on behalf of the Republican Party of Florida.
That in Florida, both parties have flooded state and county elections offices with more than 228,000 new voter registration applications in the last month alone. The sheer volume, along with the state's so-called no match, no vote law, has election observers worried that one mistyped number could disqualify a ballot.
How many could be potentially thrown out?
It could be in the tens of thousands in the state of Florida.
For the first time, Florida law requires a voter's driver's license or social security number to match a state or federal database. It's done to prevent fraud. Several other swing states have no-match laws, but none as strict as Florida's. Wisconsin dropped its own no-match rule when a test run showed 1 in 4 voters would have been eliminated because of typos and other minor problems.
Already we've seen that over 5,000 people, as of this last Monday, have had their voter registration applications rejected. The county administrators admit that it's because of mistakes like typos and variations on people's names.
Dear Tamika Collins.
When longtime voter Tamika Collins applied for an absentee ballot, the elections office told her her signature didn't match, so she re-registered.
I think I need to go in person and vote just to make sure that it counts.
No record of you at all, sir.
Local elections officials say they're trying to clear up the problems before November 4th.
Our objective is to reach that voter as quickly as possible and resolve the issue.
At the very least, they're hoping this election isn't a close one. Kelly Cobiella, CBS News, Largo, Florida.
In other news, it was a horrific scene north of Sacramento, California. A charter bus swerved off a road last night and tumbled into a ditch. 9 people were killed, and the driver, who is in critical condition, has been charged with driving under the influence. The police say he'd been seen driving erratically just before the crash. The bus with 43 people aboard was headed to a nearby casino. Coming up next, Grimace and Barrett, why doctors want kids of all ages to get their flu shots. Flu season is coming, and it's not just a threat to adults. CBS News medical correspondent Dr. John LaPook reports there is a new call tonight to get children of all ages vaccinated against the flu.
A study today reports deadly staph infections are on the rise in children who get the flu.
What we need to tell parents is that influenza vaccination is the most important prevention measure for influenza and for its associated complications like Staph aureus co-infection.
From 2004 to 2007, the number of children who got serious bacterial infections along with the flu increased nearly 6-fold, mostly from hard-to-treat resistant staph, or MRSA. The best defense? Vaccination. New CDC guidelines recommend all children ages 6 months through 18 years get immunized against the flu. 2 doses per season for kids 6 months to age 8. 1 dose for older children.
The good news is the vaccine should be widely available this month.
And John, are staph infections up because people are taking too many antibiotics?
I think so. I think the bugs just get used to the antibiotics over time. So with the cold and flu season coming upon us, I think parents should have 2 take-home lessons here. 1, do not push antibiotics on your doctor. If your kid has something like a cold, it's caused by a virus, and viruses are not treatable by antibiotics. And 2, it's very important to talk to your doctor about immunization, either with a flu shot or with a nasal spray.
All right, I'm going to make an appointment tomorrow for my kids. And by the way, you sound like you have a cold, so...
But I'm here anyway. That's how
yeah,
devoted
stay away
I am.
from me and no antibiotics for you. For more about flu vaccine guidelines for kids, you can go to our partner in health news, webmd.com, and simply search flu shots. Meanwhile, in other medical news, there's another possible clue tonight to the cause of sudden infant death syndrome, which kills about 2,100 babies in this country every year. A new study found having a fan on when a baby slept reduced the risk of SIDS by 72%. Doctors say more ventilation could help babies at risk get more air, but they caution more research is needed to prove there is a link. Coming up next, a buddy story, one helping the other cope with the wounds of war. Finally tonight, for many veterans, recovering from the horrors of war can be a long and grueling process, but some are making great strides thanks to a new breed of therapist. Here's Richard Schlesinger.
Oh, stay.
For 2 solid weeks, retired Army Sergeant Jim Mason and Yankee have been in intensive training.
There you go.
Yankee is already a fully qualified service dog. It's Sergeant Mason who's learning the ropes. He's learning to use Yankee to cope with what doctors have diagnosed as severe post-traumatic stress disorder.
I can say hello to anybody with that dog, and they all smile and say hello back.
And that alone is a huge step for Mason, who still feels trapped in the real-life nightmares he lived in both Gulf Wars and in Somalia, especially Somalia, where his unit was ambushed while trying to provide humanitarian aid.
I had to kill some people.
15 years later, he still can barely talk about it.
You know, I mean, they shot at us first. We were ambushed, and if we didn't fight back, they were going to kill us. But in my heart, I didn't go there for that.
When he retired after 20 years in the military, he started noticing changes in himself. He couldn't sleep, he snapped at people, and he was afraid he would become violent.
Tug, that's it, that's it.
Now he's got Yankee, a brand new solution for a problem as old as war. He can sense when Mason gets tense and help avoid panic attacks by staying close, a 4-legged security blanket.
There you go, watch.
He's also trained to keep an eye out behind Mason and barks when he sees something or someone that Mason may consider a threat.
So Yankee has your back.
Yeah, he'll watch it.
Where's the car, Yankee?
Yankee's used to watching
There you go.
and being watched. He was trained by inmates in this New York penitentiary.
Me, Devin, shake. Yes, good boy.
Part of a program called Puppies Behind Bars. And what Yankee learned in prison helps him free Mason from lingering terror.
And you feel different already?
Yeah, I like being with him.
I don't blame you.
The cliche is a dog is man's best friend.
Sit down.
The reality is Yankee's a lot more to Jim Mason.
There you go.
He's indispensable. Richard Schlesinger, CBS News, Lafayette, Colorado.
What a great story. And that is the CBS Evening News. I'm Katie Couric. Thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.